So what are you going to do today?
You're going
Getting ready to the Christmas.
I'm the main client.
You are, but what others you'll be doing? You can,
We're starting our paper, right?
Generate your
But you
figures.
should generate your figures first.
Oh, I already am able to generate my figures.
We'll generate them right now.
There's so many. Don't we need to narrow down, like, we need to figure out which ones we are gonna use.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you once you narrow them, you write your thing about them.
I have 6 things that I need to okay, actually, that is a good question for you. If I have 6 different like distances. And I'm only able to put like a select few. I mean, I feel like 6 figures is still gonna be too many.
You could plot like
Them on top of each other.
no, panels.
Oh.
Like Melody said.
I'm like.
Say that one more time, Carter?
you could like, well, if you're measuring like how something changes, like by
Yeah,
changing
that happens.
something
all the
else,
time.
you could always just like show one of the figures and then like plot the change or whatever. In a
Oh, that's, I'd have to look at the data, but yeah, that probably would be the easiest because it'd be a change in distance.
Sounds
but-
Yeah, because I
the
wanted
other-
to start trying to study
Would it
really,
be-
really wanted to A in this class.
But it'd be change in distance, and then I'm assuming change in potential.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
you sound tired. Are you okay?
oh yes, I'm so energized. Well, I'm going to say a word which may sound not so pleasant to everyone. And I therefore I'm not so enthusiastic because like,
Yeah.
maybe I say this word and you guys all start hating my throats.
Yeah, bad Dimitri.
So, the way between you got problem code and until you show the paper for this self-edit is kind of your standalone journey. I'll try to assist as I can, but there will be no micromanagement and there is no like step-by-step instructions. I'll provide something, but they are not literal guidance. And it is the hardest part of this class. Because if there are like homeworks where you're exactly told what to do, sometimes you can get upset for someone wants you to work, but if it is clear path, it is much easier. If you are browsing in the darkness, it's more. So exactly what Sam verbalized right now, like, I have 6 runs, each of them generate 20 figures. How do I combine them in 4 pages? I don't know, it's your task.
That's fair.
But everyone was doing it. So now I will be much more happy because I told the most adverse thing of today.
You were nervous about telling us that?
Oh, yes. I was not able to sleep.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
We can never be upset with you, though. No.
touched. So, we have plans what to do. I mean, not like what are your plans for the holidays, but plans for this next 2 hours. Like if anyone needs a little interview and chatting to me, I'm more than happy. But if each of you have a like plan and you know what to do, it will be the best.
Can I go first?
Oh, yes.
No, okay.
If I would be on your place, I would complete the project in 8 hours. And we have only like less than 2 right now, so I also,
Hours?
yes. Core project.
Is mine gonna take 8 hours?
Depending on your self-demand of the level of quality. If you don't care, then it can be done in half an hour. If you want to improve, it's like, it's a balance, but core project needs more. Although yours is more complicated, but her has a lesser level of advance. She didn't start as far as the rest of us. And I hope you have healed your equipment, that you work like
Oh,
supercomputer station.
we'll see.
Is it gonna work like a supercomputer?
Oh, I might have to exit out of everything.
You can do part of things online, but when you will be like last things in the middle of the night, in the day before presenting, you need to have your independence.
I have to go on a long bus ride on Saturday, so I'm gonna work on it then.
Bus, right?
Yeah, to Minneapolis
Oh,
and back.
or what?
What other passengers? Will they allow you to work? Or, she's doing science. Shame on her.
They're all music people. It's for a choral concert.
Okay, so they all will be reciting and singing and like, she tries to do computation, let's not allow her.
I thought it was just like a random paid bus ticket with strangers.
Oh.
Greyhound.
Yeah.
Nope, it's NDSU sponsored bus ride.
Like, if you would play computer games all this right, it will be a little easier because you get adrenaline, you focus.
Well, what's probably gonna happen is I'm gonna open up my computer and be mad because it's being slow, and then the people around me are gonna be like, what's that?
I don't have time to explain physical chemistry to you.
Hey, being on a plane and I'm working on something like last minute. People are like asking me questions. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
I don't
Want me to
know.
explain
Yeah,
something on a plane? Like this whole, chem thing, yeah.
The last couple of times that I've been on planes, the person next to me has not talked to me, and I have been very happy about
That's
that.
ideal. I don't want you to talk to me respectfully.
Even respectfully, if you're busy with.
Yeah.
On the way out of Fargo, I was sitting next to this dad. Telling his dad because his phone screen. was pictures of his family.
You're a family man.
Yeah, sorry, anyways.
So, who thinks that he or she doesn't know what to do? And others have more or less. Okay, I'll just continue what we did, what we started during the class as a little entertainment, but if you know what to do, don't listen to me. Okay, so I'll entertain you for maybe 15 minutes, and then I'll sit nearby Melody. And then if after this time is left, I will visit one by one, but hope you have ideas what to do. So. Test. Which one is? When I was showing it many years ago, I was so happy about this slide, but now I want to remember what it is. The most better connection is to product by error. So, and again, you are on your own. I'm just giving some comments which you may or take or you may reject. I don't care. It's your decision. So when you do have model and you have potential, one can just analyze what the potential, either one-dimensional, two-dimensional, and analyze and see by your eye of a chemist if there is a barrier. And one can just measure the energy offset between minimum and maximum and tell, okay, here's my recorded activation barrier. And then one can do run wave packet. So prepare Gaussian wave packet at the side of reactant, set the momentum that it will approach the product, and by selecting a momentum, run dynamics, find like probability of reactant, probability of product, extract rate, and put 1 point on the Arrhenius plot, like extract temperature out of momentum, extract rate, and it will be 1 point on the Arrhenius plot. If one repeats it, like ideally one can do it like 1,000 times, but practically 5 times or like 5, 6 times could exhaust you already. You get data, and then by looking on a slope of Arrhenius plot, one can get activation energy. And then the activation energy from Arrhenius plot can agree and disagree with just energy offset, and it will be an interesting analysis. Then we're like, okay. And if reaction, if activation energy is below the height of the barrier, one can make conclusion that there is a quantum tunneling. Please keep not listening to me. So it is not possible to set frames to creative people. It's not possible to lead creativity. It's all very individual. So these guidelines are a garbage. They just like look on them and not to do this, or you can try, but it's you're on your own. So most of the problems mean that you need to select potential energy. Some of you got it from Dr. Han as a block pot, right? So basically all of us have some potentials. We can analyze, draw, explain its properties, analyze if there is any activation. If you don't have a preset parameters in the code, you may decide where to place your wave packet initially. What is P left and P right? I believe that everyone knows it, and we did it before by integrating in the reactant product, integrating the in the reactant area, in the product area, and then those two things adding together will be one. And we're looking for the P right for the product as function of parameters. One can assess the yield of reaction. When you do have this P right as function of time, there are several ways to extract the rate of the reaction. One can simply practice a derivative, like amount of product as function of time. So if amount of product grows linearly, it will be some rate. But in the numerical simulations, the as function of t will be very noisy data. And derivative, if the results have fluctuations, the derivative will fluctuate even more. So it is interesting, but let's relax. Instead, one can find such exponential curve that will approximately reproduce the probability as function of t. So do exponential feeding, and one can do it by hands without like linear regression, without Excel. It's an easiest thing. And if you come to this point, a assistant, it is a very minor task out of other things that we are doing. So plotting P right as function of time is a good thing to add to the figure. And those steps can be repeated with different values of initial momentum, scanning different values of initial kinetic energy to come to look for energies below and above the activation energy. For ELSA, instead of momentum, one should get such values of the electric field that in one situation you still have your wave trapped inside molecule, and in another the electric field will make it overcome the barrier and go to the electron. For several, even the majority of you, these things are not applicable because you like red, to my knowledge, is not running actual dynamics. So there is a dynamics, but there is no dynamics.
Like there's no movies.
And there are movies, you can have movies, but I mean, I'm just explaining to others what he's doing. He does have the ground state of his potential, but if potential is changing over time, then the ground state changes as well. But he's not setting any momentum. It's like lowest electronic state that has zero momentum. So things that I'm telling are less applicable to you. You can make some connections, but they will be not literal. You, as we discussed this morning, just change the electric constant. And look into the table. Acetone 20, water 81. Right? You know from the top of the head as any chemist.
Where it is in the code.
Fine.
Yeah.
Coulomb.
That's right.
Coulomb force
Okay.
is the problem.
Okay.
think what is common for everyone, that one needs to run several simulations, even if you have code that runs successfully, single run will not make a term paper, will not make a presentation, will not make a seed of a true research. So one needs to, as in wet chemistry labs, you repeat your synthesis and characterization to avoid chance that it is a random fluctuation, if the procedure is reproducible, right? And also here we change the parameter. So when we were talking in the class, Gent then kind of asked you to identify a parameter for your problem, right? So with different, one selects parameter, selects values of parameters, and for each value of parameter reruns the code, and then records the observations. So this sample table just this example of a table suggests the parameter is momentum, right? Wherever situation is very the closest, but a little bit more bit. I'm not speaking clearly today. A little bit more complicated because Eva does have two momenta in X and Y direction. So, and how to organize this effort, either to keep the proportions between X and Y components the same and then change the absolute value, like the 45 degrees when they both are equal, and then you just extend both of them, or keep by Pythagorean theorem the length the same and change the angle, would be possible scenarios. Or you can just randomly throw in data and see what happens, and then leave analysis for the future. But you guys, you voted for the project, right? So you're not complaining, but right now it is the hardest part. After in an hour and a half, the rest of the class will go downhill. Now we are still climbing up. So, example, if it is momentum, one can extract kinetic energy, temperature, and temperature out of kinetic energy gets just by constant after letter B is whom?
Question?
What is abbreviated by the letter B?
Magnetic? No, no, it's it has something to do with.
By Wobble, get help of a friend, call from a friend. We were fortunate. So
It's, I remember I was
you
doing
all
it
know,
weekend.
you all know. I just keep scaring you by unexpected questions.
You always scare me.
Not true, not true. Your train went in the opposite direction.
Oh.
And right now, I know it is a very small part tangential to the project, but right now I'm preparing you to represent you well in eyes of Professor Harberger. So if you know the answer on this question, but if you know it from the top of the head immediately, you'll make better impression. So temperature and kinetic energy are proportional. What is a proportionality coefficient? Proportionality coefficient between energy and temperature. Okay, let's go to simple things in the freshman chemistry. If you have like Avogadro number of molecules, each of which have the same kinetic energy, the total energy will be energy of one molecule times Avogadro number. So Avogadro number is somewhere there. But units of energy and temperature are different. What is the conversion factor? Which scientist designed distribution and worked for thermodynamics? Schrodinger didn't like thermodynamics. So Arrhenius distribution is the particular case of we need to wake up. So rate of reaction proportional to E minus activation energy KBT. What is letter B?
Yeah,
Just teasing me.
in the Arrhenius equation, it would be the gas constant.
Okay,
It says,
gas constant, it is if it includes Avogadro number, and if it is per molecule. Letter B. It will be refreshed in your memories from the first day of the PChem2. It's a main, like for
Boltzmann.
yes, Melody +1.
Melody plus 10.
Here's B.
How did you?
Boltzmann.
Right.
Oh, is that constant?
say it one more time.
Boltzmann.
Boltzmann?
Yeah.
You hear it for the first time?
I don't know, I think so.
No. Who was providing undergraduate freshman to you? High schools.
Oh.
No, I didn't use you, Rogers.
Yeah, Kent or Seth, it depends what.
It was probably Rogers did
Yeah, it
thermodynamics.
was a long time ago.
I need to talk to them.
Yeah, definitely.
I only saw it in the R form.
Yeah.
Okay, but it is, if we do not care about deep things in science, it's just proportionality conversion factor between energy and temperature, right? Kinetic energy is the same with temperature up to this Boltzmann factor. If someone would try to entertain you with stories about statistical thermodynamics, both developers of quantum theory and developers of statistical theory, which was developed like 50 years before, were not accepted by their colleagues. And they were like arguing, as you saw in today's.
Ah.
Oh.
And Elsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So it is what any new idea, like if someone criticizes you when you do presentation, just do not feel offended. Keep in mind that any truly novel discovery will be taken either by cold lack of attention or hot hate.
People love to hate what they don't understand.
Okay, so a story about Boltzmann. When he had this clashes, some people were telling like, I don't believe in your theory. And he was telling that like when he was throwing this ball, right? If I freeze you in the middle of this flight and reverse time to go backwards, right? If you return to its initial condition, right? But if you have an Avogadro number of these balls, they will not return to the initial conditions. And when Boltzmann told this story, people said, no, you're wrong, you're lying. And then he was tired of doing scientific argument. He took a piece of chalk, make it into powder, approach the face of a person who was not arguing, blow this powder and reverse it if you can. Okay, enough stories. Let's go forward. And I hope that you are not. I hope very much that you're not listening to me, but doing your projects, like figures and stuff, right?
This was happening
I'm so
earlier,
scared.
then it speeds up.
So table. Do several runs. We're going into a table. Temperature. But you are educated chemists. You know that in Arrhenius law, one does x-axis not as temperature, but 1 over temperature, right? It's not a surprise for you. Okay, good. And then you have like product, rate, and logarithm of rate. And then later on, you can do log of rate as function of 1/t, and typically it gets the straight line and slope will give the rate. I want to believe that I'm not telling anything you are doing it every day since your freshman times. Right? So verbal analysis, because confutatio, confirmatio, complete Roman Pope. So depending on kinetic energy, smaller than activation energy, equal or bigger, the reaction rate will change dramatically. And you may verbally express it. Report, analyze, just tell things that you observe, maybe some additional observables, plot expectation value of position, because if the reaction goes from left to the right, expectation value of position will also go from left to the right. Or in 2 dimensions, it will do more complicated trajectories. If you don't believe, talk to Patricia. She has expectation value of position going on advanced trajectories. When you will be preparing your discussion section, you may need to list approximations because nothing is precise. And brag how good your method is, although people who will listen to you will tell that it is bad and you need to defend it. And if you are constructive, you can tell, yeah, it's not so bad, not so good, but we can improve. So movies are mandatory. If you still not comfortable with movies, it's time to refresh. During your presentations, everyone should present a movie, right? As a part of your PowerPoint. I am available for assistance anytime, but it's earlier is better than later. Like, I will be staying up late in the day before your presentations and trying to help if needed, but hope it will not be needed. And saying something hopefully smart about how you assess your accomplishments, right? You learn something new, you save the world. Anyone who listens to you will get a good industrial career, or you'll find it. There is another thing that I want to postpone to maybe the day when we'll do peer review session, but I will offer an extended grading criteria. So you will serve 2 roles, authors and reviewers. And by looking on the works of each other, it will be much longer grading list than before. It will be like much more extended compared to answer key for the homeworks. And for each section, like abstract results, conclusions, there are a lot of little questions. I just think it is premature, too early to speak about them, but if you are curious, they all are listed in the rest of the slide that we went through. Like, our lines are truly thick, which has nothing to science, but without thick lines, it will be not visible. So, and I think it is not the best question. So, anyone except Melody has emerging questions about the project? I will do a little tour to see behind your shoulders with your permission to see that your progress goes in the constructive direction. And then I'll sit nearby Melody and we'll try to do in an hour what typically would require an hour.
I have a question. So,
It's just not visible, it goes so steep.
Yeah. But I'm wondering what it means when it goes back. So it gets all the way to the end and starts wigging out for a while. And then it'll like come back. But it's like super dramatic and I'm not really sure what that means.
As soon as it starts going back, it is not trusted.
Okay,
So anyone should decline data after this time instant when
Okay.
it starts going down.
Mhm.
So I'll just show them on the board. Although it is question specific for Elsa, but maybe someone else would also enjoy.
like orange peel.
Yeah.
So before electric field is applied, the molecule and electrode are sitting on a flat line. Right? After electric field is applied, the baseline is tilted, and then the electrode get deeper, and the molecule gets higher, right? But originally, we designed this code as a periodic boundary condition without electric field. And therefore, as we go to the next cell, it experiences an instantaneous jump to the same height. And then it repeats the same pattern. And when the wave packet, it accelerates, ramps up, and then it reaches this point, of course, it will reflect it from the infinite or almost infinite wall. So the simplest way is just to stop simulation or stop analysis when it hits the wall. If it's insufficient data, potentially one can just make the simulation cell bigger and allow additional vacuum, additional space after to see what happens. Is your question addressed?
I think so.
Okay. Where is the focus so no one sees how quickly I can run? Well.
We saw you running into the building earlier.
Oh, okay.
You're very speedy.
I'm just having an interesting time trying to establish any kind of trend when I am changing the initial momentum values. Like sometimes I get, when I change them to both -50, it like shifts this direction.
Mhm.
But then like every other one, it goes like the other way. And then these are kind of like larger groups, but then this one's very small.
So here, this likely shows that momentum. Well, the last figure, by the way, before I start saying something potentially good, the same basic thing. Please try to run. No, stop. Now click.
Like chocolate. Pretty crunchy. Those things, they get crumbs everywhere.
So,
It's just something you did all
we
right
will
now.
suffer. Very good. So this granular dotted structure tells that the amount of grid points is highly insufficient, and there is a amount of errors will be abundant. So to find this, when probably the momentum is too high. Like when one of the things that I would be happy to see you all remembering after the class, that density of fringes correlate to value of momentum, right?
Yes,
So that
the thinner,
frequent fringes means something moves quicker. Shallow, rare fringes tells it is very slow. No fringes, it's not moving. So here, there are density of fringes are higher than the density of grid points. So maybe simplest way is just not to go to this high value of momentum. And just
High as in like a high, like -30, I should go to like -500 or higher as in closer to 0.
absolute value.
Okay.
So absolute value shouldn't exceed maybe 20. If you want to go easy way and you don't want to modify anything in the code, and if you really know that these values of momentum are truly needed, then one may to make adjustments to the code and increase the density of grid points. This is doable, this is possible. It's like 1 minute of programming, but the code will be quite sensitive and will slow down and go slower and slower if you moderate the increase. Like right now it is maybe 40 by 40, and you should know better, or 50 by 50, but 50 times 50 is 2,500, right? So it is amount of the point of the points in your state vector. And the Hamiltonian is then 2,500 by 2,500. And the most time goes on to like putting Hamiltonian into the power of exponential or diagonalizing it. And then if one goes like from 50 by 50 to what's the next? 60 by 60. Then it like goes 3,060, and then things, if you time cost calculations will run non-linear. So if you do not see absolute necessity to go to denser grid points, try to avoid it.
So do I want it to look more granular like this or not?
You do not want, it's
I
bad.
don't want.
You can show it as an example of bad data that you want to avoid.
Okay. But then like other ones aren't as bad as that.
They're a little better. When
This
it,
is better?
yeah, when it is continuous covering of this by the same color, it means it is useful.
But then this is way larger. This is 10,000.
Very interesting. Oh, very interesting. So
I did a couple different, like I tried 10, which is better. This one gets kind of cut off a little bit. Cause I like accidentally didn't record the whole time, but this
okay,
looks better. And this is 50.
so first, do not panic.
I'm panicking.
I'm a little panicked.
So did you try to plot the potential without any wave functions, just potential itself?
Plugged in here somewhere.
Yeah, I just
So
wanted to ask.
set up this task for yourself and try to.
Oh,
I just need
Wow.
to help others, but
You put it back.
you probably
Nobody
will see them. So what potential itself? Then another thing that you may do anyway, even if dynamics is bad, is to analyze the eigenstates. If you haven't done it, you could may include a unit for eigenstates, but if you haven't done it, talk to Patricia. She just learned a couple of days ago, and it will be a very good exercise for her to pass her knowledge to anyone else. Okay? And
They're all tied up in this lock.
this,
See that?
even if the whole big problem is not fully resolved, it will be a very important intellectual steps. That like you solve everything, it will be perfect. But even if you do small steps, it will be foundation for next generations.
Okay.
Patricia?
Yeah.
You have a little task to help Eva in doing eigenstates. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when you are ready, you have a question. Okay.
Sorry, I have a question in my potential energy. What's the potential energy world? Not stuff. Very
See the very last. Right?
Yes,
Sorry, man. I know you're upset.
Let me find. You think I understand? No, it's together. So this part is for Y direction.
It's like the one I was like.
This VVV is not a sound of a little big VVV. This VVV adds what was less investment was defined before plus more potential.
You gotta stop at Costco for that.
So here we did erase, we did comment out what was assigned for Y potential, right? So this highlighted line replaces the one that was in the line 121. So we need three components: potential along X, potential along Y, and their interaction.
I don't know, I think I'd rather have a test and just
Yes, but see,
feel like
percent means
anonymously
you will not read it like that.
rather than in front of all these people.
I suppose it doesn't matter.
Exactly. What do you do?
Dimitri, so when I'm calculating, false accidental potential, I should neglect the one on Y.
Just say big.
So my brother talks in his sleep.
Let me repeat what you
Consistently,
you didn't.
very, like,
Just
Well,
continue.
you're solid.
time.
I should replace it. Okay, I should replace it with this.
You do not need to do what,
If we woke up at,
what do you want to
like, 6 in the
change?
morning, I woke up, they started talking about, baby hands.
You know, for my couple of
Baby
days.
hands, baby hands in his sleep, like very adamant about baby. We were like, okay.
Sometimes he fell asleep on the couch, with his girlfriend.
And the interaction.
Yes.
And he woke her up,
Interaction.
like,
Okay.
when you said, actually, he was like sleep talking because he went, okay, how did?
This isn't work.
Elbowed the shit out of her. And she said, it scared the shit out of her, which, yeah, fair. He went, okay.
Potential
Like air
along
guitar
Y
and everything.
is defined through line. Instead of square, it is like T1 minus E more potential, right? Square. And then interaction is defined in line 122. So it's since it was programmed on a very short notice, it's like instead of going 1, 2, 3, it goes 1 very far and then returning back. Okay, you see three components. Make sense?
Yes, no, thank you.
Alright.
So the higher density.
You meditating.
Yeah, I mean, it's just doing this thing.
Slowly, slowly,
Oh, I was just,
slowly, no, okay, please dedicate me to the screen. Now, look, dedicate, yes. Okay, you're doing the right procedure. Does it answer your question or you had something different?
I didn't have any
What
questions.
is it?
But did it help?
Yes.
So wait until it stalls.
I just need to figure out exactly which one this is.
Focus on the please. Because this is made intentionally because it some codes run so quickly that human doesn't have a minute to identify something happened. So just start, set, go.
All right, just gonna run this later. Cool.
I'm mostly trying to figure out how to get this to run faster. Because every time I run it, I can change like the number of what is it, the number of time steps and like the length of the time steps. But it just takes like forever to get.
Yeah, but that's the real way.
I get it.
Now I see that Evercap has potential to help you.
Maybe we can work together.
The projects are a little different, but I will avoid the word teaching so that it will not sound offending. I don't know how guys you get on that. She can provide a friendly help. Almost teaching.
I can.
Yes.
What problem are you having, Fred?
Well,
That's Sam.
I'll narrow down my list of problems.
Okay.
Let me assist you to assist him. So he complains. Period.
He complains too much.
He complains that stimulation goes too long and maybe it is less fun to watch on the slow movies. And Eva, whose code is much longer, didn't complain. And it is not like personal attitude. I just, while looking through her code, I noticed that each time she runs the code, it renames the .avi file, uploads it to YouTube under unique name, and then actually. She did.
You're not lying.
And then at least she has like 6 movies.
Oh, yeah.
And then she analyzed them because on YouTube they run much
Yeah.
quicker than here. So it is not a right thing to analyze it ongoing. You know how the like cartoons, animated pictures are done?
Yeah,
They all done on computers. They use like hours of compute time to generate only a couple of frames, but then we watch movie in much quicker.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Did she help you?
Can I help you, Frank?
Yeah, she helped me a lot.
Time.
I've never gotten help from Ava in my life.
What does that even mean? What are you trying to
think,
say?
In the 3 years that I have known you,
Well. Maybe you haven't earned her help.
I probably haven't.
Did you found where to put absolute?
So you said to look at the Cool, right? Or
Yes.
Olympic force. I found a few examples. Of Kula. Let me find it again. Kula. Here it's defined twice. So I kind of get like how when you have these things that are defined at like more than one point, it just redefines it like later on in the code. But here it's set to 0, and then again, here it's set to 0. So I don't know if that is the dielectric constant, if I should change one of them or both of them.
I understand what is going on. Making like spoon feeding baby steps would take too long.
Okay,
But we can share basic idea.
okay.
Not for any grading, for yourself. You can do a good practice of putting a percent and writing a comment near the line that you down or you want to like fix and get along.
Okay. Yeah.
Later on, you can copy paste it in your like analysis.
Right.
So that's good.
Figure out how to.
So.
So what is,
This is
I have a petition. I want to ask everyone on whose screen I am, just as a little favor. It's not a question, I'm asking for a favor.
Right.
When you're showing something to me on the screen, please do not rush into the effect. Slowly move the mouse. Slowly scroll the text. It will make me dizzy and I will help much less if things are changing quick. Maybe it shows my intellectual incapacity. I strongly appreciate if you move.
No,
Thank you.
I guess
Thanks
sorry.
for our presentation.
No. When I approach and we discuss something on your screen,
Oh, sure.
just do not practically move left, right. You're not playing computer game or ping pong.
Yeah, that's difficult.
I understand. Everyone has adrenaline and that's.
On, elbow and bend,
I want to see what you think here is going on.
As well as like my top,
Quick question for you.
so it's just.
Are these the abstracts that you're talking about?
No, it's fine. It'll take.
These toppings that you were referring to?
So this one is the best.
Okay.
So if you're basically, it is your work done by others in a little
Different.
weaker way, although they are from famous university published in a good journal, you may not do it, but you are doing better.
Than
I-
what did you
that-
say, the speed?
I'm doing better than that.
Yes,
Yeah.
if presented in the right way. So
Okay.
you can learn, compare to what you're doing. So they have two difference. They place on different distance,
Mhm.
but they are speaking on a language of single electron. They do not, maybe by basic education, they know about state vector, but they do not implement it explicitly.
Okay.
What?
And
So that's what I'm doing is,
Yes.
is I'm implementing the Slater determinant.
Right, and remember how this grad student from New York was happy and telling, oh, it's already paper.
Yeah.
So because even educated, like high rank people fear Slater. You're very brave that you explicitly describe.
I guess I didn't really know what I was doing, so you have made me afraid for doing it by pushing me.
So you can read and like extract some ideas and foundations and background, but take my assurance, you are above them. Sorry for the corruption. So
So what I'm noticing first is that there's 3 different ways of plotting that. And, or 3 different ways it's defined. This is the same, this is the same. But B is the CCC and FX. This one is. defined by
but
the
I promise
numbers.
you have majority of my time. I just need to.
Okay.
So let me do something on a blackboard because I need to write out.
All right.
And I apologize in advance if I mislabel the variables in my token, but you have them in front of you.
Yeah.
So,
Looks
or
like it's our- because I don't know.
red. I do want you to realize, you may answer me directly or just
Spiral code.
tell it to yourself. If we do have a potential, I will just draw it a little shorter than it actually is. In which variables we store centers of these tips. So you don't need to answer, you just try to memorize the question.
Yeah.
In which variables these positions are stored. Right? Now, next question.
Like what are the peaks represent? Basically, or the.
How do you know that this peak is to the left, this is to the right? Where this information is stored?
Okay.
Now I'm kind of giving an answer, but I will formulate it like, what is stored in the variable in the array XX? Now, array XX has values XX first, XX of number of centers and C, and then intermediate values X, X, when we can label it with a variable and make a cycle to label it. Okay, so array XX, this value will show the first, this one will show the last, and then there will be so many in between. Why they're treated separately? Because I have very clear mind, but I need to
think
fit.
Might have an idea why they're. Well, yeah, it's probably just better if you explain it.
So I'll tell something to Patricia and then ask her to translate it to you.
Okay.
Maybe you will directly understand what I'm speaking, but I just have guarantee that she will know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So those are positions of the positively charged centers. And they have chemical bonds. So it corresponds as they have springs between them. So the intermediate parts, each of them have 2 neighbors. It has 2 springs to the left and to the right. But the first and the last are free floating. It is connected by 1 spring to the neighbor, and here there is nothing. Right? Here there is nothing. Therefore, first and last should be treated in a separate way. Check.
That makes sense to me. I think, yeah.
So, Patricia does very complicated quantum thing. It's like, but she does only two degrees of freedom. Fred does 16. He doesn't quantize nuclear degrees of freedom. He treats them classically, but he does 8 times more than you. Okay,
all right, all right.
okay, now you have a cycle. Let me speak more. When we do have the distribution, ground state distribution of
Bless you.
the electron. Right? We need to see how this I'll probably change the field color. So this electron distribution has negative charge, right? And then we need to explore how each of the ions is attracted to this distributed charge. So this plus attracted to all of these portions of electron. Therefore, we need to run separate treat first, separate treat last, and then make a cycle over intermediates. So, and standard way in the programming, so like Coulomb equals Coulomb plus delta C. So, and then you can, by the cycle, add more and more, like if I'm a beggar who collects money, I approach everyone and ask, add here, add here. Maybe we can, or like someone distributing like apples, even out. But for the same pocket, like in the repeat procedure of incrementing or decrementing several times.
Okay.
And by the end of the cycle, you will have final value. So it's not one line where the Coulomb is described, is implemented. It's like many lines code just to implement Coulomb.
Okay.
Okay.
Can it be the same for all of them?
The Coulomb law is universal for the whole universe.
Okay.
But the positions of ions and relative positions to electrons are different.
Okay.
So any time you see something that looks like 1 over xx of I minus, there should be a variable for position of like probability x of another one j, here will be probability of j. Anytime you see this 1 over distance, right? You should add a factor 1 divided by epsilon. And the epsilon should be defined at the very first line of the code. And then you set the value epsilon like 1, 2, 3, 4, and run the code. If you're a little scared, I assure you that your project is
Oh,
so much
I
easier
need
than
to
you need to be a
add the
programmer.
epsilon
Yes.
to it. Okay.
Yes.
I see.
Okay,
All right. So I'm not changing Coulomb.
you are adding.
I'm adding
You're adding
adding the
F.
1 over
So
polar
you-
constant.
You will be certified programmer, or you already are. So you reprogram the code to include the dielectric factor at each time where Coulomb interaction is involved.
Right.
And then the value of this epsilon should be defined at the beginning of the script. And each time you rerun the code, you modify the value of the epsilon, run, save the video, and repeat.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Makes sense.
So all emergent questions are answered. So we will start working on this project, and probably we will sit by my computer and then we'll transfer file.
Okay.
So last chance for any quick questions, because we will be really focused on Melody's questions. So, oh, we are on the screen. You can smile. Teamwork.
Oh, we're on the screen 3 times, 4 times.
Oh my gosh. It's like,
That's a lot
like
of
a
time.
theoretically infinite amount of time.
Exactly.
See far enough.
4 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
After everyone enjoyed it sufficiently.
Works are happening again.
The what?
The works. It just sounds like, I don't know, it just sounds like a horde of
You have to make,
monsters,
you have
like.
Lord of the Rings jokes to Seth. They're his
Yeah.
favorite.
I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones lately, started watching like 2 weeks ago.
I don't know how he feels about Game of Thrones.
It keeps me going, I'm walking in the freezing winter.
I'm traveling with you.
Flashes, I
It's preventing us from
on snow.
Okay, so my first question is the parameter. Is it the intensity of the laser? This is, okay, so this is what I wrote down from what you said in class this morning. My main question is like, what are your variable are going to be
Got the wall.
specifically?
Okay, so there are 2 levels for your project. If we just change this gravity frequency, it will be lower levels and it cover other parameters, not like. There is a
This.
main parameter that is scanned as a project, and there are a lot of small parameters that just parameterize the model, specify the model. The biggest challenge for your project is to get realistic values. Potentially.
I know, that's what I did, just to see
This
what
is something
video it was.
beautiful, but we do it now.
Apparently this isn't
Let's
a-
create a safe.
In a readable video.
That's like if we
Oh
do
my
not
God.
worry
Yeah,
here about being
I
precise.
tried
we just
to,
use like
upload
arbitrary.
it to YouTube, it's like your video, yeah.
If you video back up,
Love that.
so that you show if they fail to do our main task.
Okay. I gotta go talk to Patricia.
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You know how to make my.
Sure, trying to run testing,
I mean,
and I just was so.
something like CNT,
Yeah.
Rabbit CNT, Rabbit CNT for the
I don't know how, I don't think this can run any faster. I think it just goes as fast as it can.
Sure. And this, I have to complete a whole. Execution that.
So. Other potentials that if I'm correct, the only thing is to modify this lines and copyright.
How I explain.
Is it a very long one? That's like 900 lines.
It depends on the figures they have. Five figures.
And our parameters types. And cycles. You know that each individual run
We'll look at that.
is kind of expensive. So if you will keep it large and how it will be going to wait. So just as right now as a proof, like cream of the cream, the concept, we need to simplify. So let's do much smaller. 100 cycles.
Yeah, you do, because it was in.
This parameters.
Make sure they're reminder.
CH3. And you mode, which is bigger parameters.
My
Slightly or
my
not.
program is frozen.
Cool. Things that you change if you have time. Like, myself, I'm gonna
Close it.
change this parameters like TD X could be before the Morse potential. It's very Morse potential. Some let us control easier and it doesn't really swim complicated, but there are. Different values of this.
I feel so bad. Someone's like. Which take freshman chemistry or whatever. It's fine.
Not useless, but less.
It's the worst thing because I can't even blame it. Like. Let it alone.
Let's go to necessary minimum.
Okay.
So I'm still answering your question.
No,
No, if you want to say something.
no, I was just wondering.
So, if you're interested about audio test, micro, see, it goes up and down, and this green things, it's like, parallel, microphone. Yes, yes, yes.
I've been sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's all that we need to.
I'm like, this isn't really doing.
So what's the reason why? Is there a reason why?
Like warranty is so many.
Yes, exactly. Why?
This is gonna start at 1 though.
Specials. Maybe a little less than.
Start before. It should start at 4.
Like, oh, this is like the ground is being tested.
Oh, the data
This is the ground.
that's not explicitly written in the code.
Okay, it's something that we can fix, so we can say that. Oh, 2017, but issue. This is.
It has to express something.
Right.
Why it's not the same energy.
Or transfer files.
I don't know what that is yet. But
What do you understand? Because like, this is the ground. That's what's it says in the vision. Is. I can see this, which just happened.
Change.
This is to show like, to show my own graphical illustrations. My if it goes for each of the. We have such a question.
runs this, it just brings in all of the difference.
So it takes this red one, moves it higher up, and then goes down. You saw it.
Yes.
I don't, something unusually rare.
Is there a fuzzy car? Is there a police line? What?
Oh, here now. That's my-
Oh,
I just need to break up and apply for scholarships.
So is that it switching from,
Yeah.
like, so it emits photons, right?
Right.
When it.
Exactly, it's actually showed it.
Okay.
Now, see, here it goes very quickly, it is like quite
Probably.
steep.
Thank you much. Just
Here, if you look carefully, it's like slow down now that the potential is again. Jumps.
Really?
Because
What?
laser field is so intensive. Okay. So if the field is weak, you close it just once and then you.
Honestly, I don't blame you.
I do that.
I don't know where Melody is either.
Down 7 times. And then one into. All there are several situations. One.
That's letting it in. You just made it up.
Image.
You're literally insane.
Yeah, why would you think that it's gaslighting? What kind of person do you take people? That is absolutely atrocious. I would ever think I would do something like that. Like, I can't even believe that.
Like, I'm.
But there are unique situations.
Like, what's that say about you? Oh, I'm also, I think that people gaslight me just because they.
This is also.
Yes, the grounds.
Unity for the product. This is function for this very sake.
I don't know.
This.
When we expect more like cycles would give. Maybe not. And as I'm. So.
Are you-
No.
Body, I.
I heard. Now we're about
Outcome.
That's
Less,
Okay.
just little understanding. All of that.
Sorry.
It was stressful, distracting our science.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's dense, stress balls.
Okay, so it stays.
Study abroad.
So it's like a
What
very
am I doing? Suppose
similar.
Fred?
Mine has like many.
I'm gonna start calling you Frederica Biddle.
same.
Oh, what did, I had a lot of nicknames that
So am I going to be like recording anything?
the goodness I worked with.
Really? That's. Okay.
What was it? But there were some of them that I didn't let them call me, like Freddie Fosbear.
Right.
I gotta think about it.
Well, back when kitchen days.
That's cringe.
Said you.
Greta Mingo.
Greta
Greta
Mingo.
Mingo was a popular one.
That's cute. Were you like a camp counselor?
Yeah, during the summer.
Yeah.
Then over the school year, I went to this one elementary school like before and after,
Yeah,
for like the early.
like the SAC, like
Yeah.
the, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I always did that because my parents both worked like a lot.
Yeah,
And I was always the last kid to get picked up at like 6:30 every day.
yeah, I felt so bad for some of the
Yeah, I
kids that were
yeah.
like always there, super late.
Yeah, I understand why this is weird.
My first year, there was one
Okay,
kid.
Yeah, I don't know why
So,
it's weird, but I
Did,
see that this is,
Yeah.
I actually think his parents were together, but his mom and dad, like, both were super busy. And when it was his dad's turn to pick him up, he would always pick him up like, you know, middle of the time that we were there for, I guess, kind of middle of the pack. But his mom would always come in and pick him up late, like after we were supposed to be gone.
Yeah.
She would
And that was-
always
that was
roll in
me.
late. She would never apologize. And
You can put it out.
this kid was like, I don't know, not very fun to be around, but I
Yeah.
kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt because he didn't seem to get much attention from his parents, you know, so. Oh, but yeah, this one woman, like, damn, bro. Because there was one time where she got there on time. She got there like 10 minutes before we closed. Because I saw her pull up into the parking lot and she literally just sat there in the parking lot. for like 20 minutes and came in late. Like always. And didn't say anything. She's just like, all right, I'm here for, you know, like spend like so and so. Left without a like.
Oh my gosh.
People talk, dude.
Yeah. So if you're looking at like this first run of it, would that
That's
be?
actually awful. Oh my goodness.
That's right.
Change it or it's just something.
Me neither, and you know, my code
Much
used to
nicer.
spit out a bunch of these
Mine generated.
other graphs and stuff, but now it doesn't do that, which is super lame.
I think my project, I think, is fairly easy in terms of like what I have to
Like
do.
that is
It's
helpful.
just like,
This is weird.
because
that-
it's six different, so it's two defects on a carbon nanotube spaced out at different lengths. You got to hear my entire presentation on this.
I did.
Oh, but I feel like when it comes to explaining it, it's not like all that.
This
hard.
is what
I
it's
figure out
supposed to
exactly what I.
This is saying many items.
Yeah, I did such a good job at grouping,
Like conceptually,
That is.
That is, yeah.
Really?
officially,
As
yes.
it increases.
I haven't
value.
gotten, since I haven't finished the class, I haven't technically started
And they just go
anything.
on and on.
It's
like,
separate.
this is like trend, it just.
Basically, what I get out for this class is like gonna be the beginning, because are you going to Florida in February?
It's like
Yeah, I'll be
random.
going.
No.
This is for, this is
Oh.
like eight,
So.
this is for, this is something.
Actually pretty excited about it.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Terrifying.
I guess I'm not too terrified of actually presenting or talking in front of people because I've already done it so much.
Yeah.
So,
This really little. It's not to get your high.
I mean, I would think about it more in terms of like, because when you go and present at like big, like, God, what's the word, like assemblies like that, that's not the proper term, but I was like, but it's what I could use. Oh, yeah, conference, big conference like this. What you basically get out of it when you present is it's like, hey, this is currently what I've got. This doesn't matter what your results are. Or what you do and don't know, but rather like, hey, here's like what I did.
Okay, it's for your projects, you're supposed to get some sense of, I don't know what to be, but if you have currently. My PA is, I do not have enough knowledge to interpret what I got. If someone else is actually trying to either, she's so fucking dumb.
But I don't, see, I'll make the,
I mean, that's.
make the counter argument of, you don't know how to do with something and you're presenting it. Someone will probably be able to help you interpret it and be like, hey, if you look at it like this, is it potentially like this? If you get talked to by someone, I think that that's just the wrong way they should. Like, you should not be at a conference if that's how you're gonna look at like grad students like projects,
yeah,
even
I
like.
mean, there are always gonna be some of those people, but
But I almost like 99% of the people who will be there to try and ask questions to make you look at it for a single, or if you don't fully understand something, an acceptable response to it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it too much. So.
yeah, it's just, that's beyond the scope of my research right now, like that's.
Or you could even give it like, I've never really thought about it from that point of view, even if it's
Yeah.
something super like glaringly obvious. Like if it's like, hey, I've never like thought about like it, like I've never thought to like look at it like that. Like my graphs are pretty black and white in terms of what I
This
need to
video
be able
is
to
made
like
for kids.
interpret them as.
Oh my.
Like each of the graphs I have is like one different version of like the Slater determinant
What videos?
or the
I only put adults watching.
Oh, you mean, okay.
But I feel like it's, that's probably a much bigger overview than whatever it is. And so if someone was to come at me, like the guy who was sitting next to me in the conference, he was like asking me all these like super specific questions. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're asking. Like my focus in research has been in organic chemistry. And I don't know.
When is he in his office? When?
So I actually got kicked out of that lab. No, I didn't do anything, but the professor just ended up having like beef with me and never told me what I did wrong.
Can you lower your voice a little bit?
No.
It's kind of hard to hear Dimitri.
Oh, just putting on. Oh. But yeah, so he like kicked me out, and then before you joined, Dimitri was like. Now we will
out of this.
There's like no pressure.
Sam can say anything he likes.
I was kind of like, well, because I started out in, actually, I was with our house.
We're going to comment window. Maybe it was plotting these things, but I just chose which was the right decision. So I'm bringing you fingers.
One. I'm actually gonna.
And then trying to
Dimitri, because I was gonna.
put
You know.
this three
Literally, if,
up.
so one, if there was like any sort of heights, you know.
He was like, all, well, you.
I gotta take it something.
No, some,
Yeah.
not what I
To, albeit, that's. But the other thing where it's like, hey.
I'm sure that's gotten better.
Like, position is so.
It's so, like,
It was a very big thing, like,
I gotta go check it.
Got his PhD.
And I went and checked it, and it's.
You need some.
Like, I gotta.
Oh, it is not.
Chemistry.
Mhm.
Science in terms of like what I've done, but also. It didn't need to actually like.
I was gonna do what's today.
Yeah.
And then I would sell back from, you know.
I feel like I'll get a lot more out of
It's my neck hurt from the wind. And I can't do this right now.
previous to.
Yeah.
Which was. About that and slower.
So it makes it like, what percentage are?
Yeah, you got triggered.
You have a question?
One.
Multiple Asian states and Indian and.
No, he just, I asked him and he said that it's just,
Yeah.
So it is not yet integrated, but it shows like, this is x-axis, this is time, right? And it goes for some time and then it jumps to another potential new surface.
I don't know how to change this, you know.
Check.
Because I was
What
trying,
happened
well,
if we do?
so that is like kind of your video, right?
Yes.
Like if you run it, the graph pops up
Yes.
and then the graph moves,
What the graph?
but it moves
Very slow.
like that slow, like
Yeah.
this. Yeah, I've been trying to get it to run faster as well, but it doesn't. It is moving right now, I promise you. Yeah, yeah. But, oh, you know how? Oh, yeah. How- Okay, and if you lower it, it'll go. See, if I lower it, I could do that, but if it's too low, it'll basically just spin. I guess, you know,
So the unit for quantifying the degree
yeah,
transfer,
yeah.
It's fine. It wasn't something like.
I think I'm gonna, yeah, I know, I understand.
So it's.
seems not ready.
I think I'm gonna try that. I tried it before and I tried to change both the number of time steps and the length of the time step. You decrease the time step, but you increase the length of the time step. It'll
I guess.
cover more time
Per
most point. Realize that's
just a rare side effect. Maybe getting them. And so he's like. Is fine.
Me too. Yeah.
It's, it'll die down. He'll probably be back in a year. He is starting to get better function of his like arms and feeling.
Okay, this is something.
I'm hoping that he gets his fast. I love it.
I know that it would help.
Just like, you move your arms.
I know that it would help, but I need to like understand what I need.
Yes.
I did not have one for you. You know, when has, and you have
They don't know if they did, but I know that they have a facility, so I have no idea if they're still kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen.
Can't walk.
Yeah.
Can't move his arms.
Because
Yeah, I need to
So,
get some more stuff.
But he can talk in a
yeah, which is kind of cool. Weird, I think, that like, the entire. Maybe not, I guess. I was just saying, I don't.
Yeah.
Play with it. I guess.
Yeah, I get that. I'd rather.
Well, it comes to this because it happened to him. Where he literally was like, it was like, I can't really like move my hands or like feel my legs, and I just like collapse. And like, yeah. So my dad was like, yeah, so apparently he was like really like shaking and just like fell over and kind of stuff. I was like, okay. And they called you and not 911. And I was like, yep. And I'm like,
Choice.
okay. Alright. Makes sense. So I think he'll be fine. I'm hoping that by Christmas, he has his pumpkins. And I say that because I think the way that like it's gonna like compress the like or like his inflammation is gonna go down is I think from top down. I think because he's gotten more function and feeling in his hands than he has in his legs. So I'm on the assumption that that's kind of just how it's gonna go. Is it's not gonna like all happen gradually.
Yeah.
Like at the same time, it's just gonna be. The thing that sucks too is that like transverse myelitis can happen in like one area. And it just so happened, and because like you can either get like legs, like midsection, like up here, and then like all like your entire spine, and my brother got his entire spine. So
I mean, it's a great story for him, so.
yeah, it's just I guess we'll just wait to say it's a good story to tell until he recovers, because until that happens, there's technically still the potential.
But it seems like it's at least improving.
Yeah, which is a good
On the
thing.
positive side.
I know that he was on 2 like rounds of like heavy steroids to try and like.
You mean like?
My mom called me. I found this out right before the local test.
Wait.
At like 11:30 at night. And I kind of was, and when I went back to the city, I was kind of like, hey mom, I love you and don't take this as like you. But like, when I tell you I'm having a stressful weekend, my semester of tests.
Yeah.
There's a chance that I do really appreciate you not telling me my brother is like, it's an emergency. Yeah, it is. I get that, but I was going to study for that test and I didn't because I was like, wow, great. Like my brother's I did fine on it. And I did fine on the DFQ test. I mean, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I guess.
But I was also kind of like, bruh. Like you tell me, please, you tell me on Wednesday, or you tell me on.
I don't care about, like, I know that I. You know,
If my brother was dying, would be a different case, because I do kind of. Goodbye to him.
Yeah, very, very close.
Oh, hang up, you guys.
yeah, before they just.
That's a lot.
That's fine. It's not, it's fine.
Just make it till I make it.
That is indeed. The way.
Yes.
What was this?
I decided not to post it.
Why?
I posted 2 things of it.
No, I just have like, there's this one guy in my last 5 artists.
So blue line is rect and red is product.
That is.
Right now, this is not a part of the code, but we can
Um,
page this and paste there, right? And then you can just follow the procedure, just change your
Jesus.
Ruby parameters and get these figures. So this will be your main result. And all this fluffy stuff of how wave packets are moving is decoration.
34,000. So you're talking, oh, is it minutes?
34,000 hours.
Over 100,000.
Mine is over 100.
I'm up in high school, I had like 120, 130,000.
That's like 24 days.
Hopefully, it will be very interesting.
Here, I'll tell you, so I have a buddy who listened to, oh my God, so last year he listened to 189,000 minutes. He was at 284,000 minutes this year.
Paste. So.
That's like
then-
Days, that is. How many?
Let's just like have it going all year.
284.
Just to get the stats.
Divided by
Like,
There's some people
I
that-
swear, yeah.
They get like
some
extra
burner phone
minutes.
there, just going, it's always plugged in.
Great.
Yeah.
That's more than
Just
half
playing
the
like
year.
the lo-fi study.
Definition of left and right.
Constantly.
Left,
What was my nighttime thing?
No, there was one guy in my top five,
Right.
I was like really
so it's
surprised,
like midpoint.
because I didn't think I listened to him that much. But
Mine always shocks me because it's who I listened to at the beginning of the year. So I'm like, oh, I forgot about that.
My most binged
So
song.
now you can just modify parameters at the beginning.
I know
And for each parameter,
my
link
top
up this.
five songs, I think, were pretty
Um,
predictable.
I wasn't shocked by my top song. I was shocked that I was in the top like 99% of YouTube listeners.
all we want is-
Top 99%.
Let's check if it will work with me.
PG?
Oh, and I said Bee Gees. I was
Well,
like,
yeah,
That's a
I was
flex.
surprised.
I mean, I was in the top.
I will kill you.
oh,
That is not a threat, that is a
Top
promise.
1%.
Oh, sorry, I was in the top. I was in
Less.
the top 1%.
1% of motionless and whites listen.
I love that.
So it's better because it's more realistic.
Chaotic.
How's Jackson?
I did post one on my story in tags. It's not kills, cause it's just, it looks funny and I think it's funny.
Did they
but
comment on it?
No, I just posted it. Like,
Oh my God.
all my top songs are Ice Nine
We're not done. We
Kills. Binge song was an Ice Nine Kill song and my most listened to artist was.
We'll
Ice Nine Kills.
return to his data, but
We love
I
that.
really love it, but
Yeah.
let's do like first initial thing secured and then
But I'm also on Discord with Xavier literally
Mm.
all the time. So I don't actually listen to a ton of music, at least not right now.
I went from like getting easily over like 100,000 minutes in high school and
is
stuff.
what?
Started watching.
Reaction, reaction yield.
I only had like 12,000 this week.
Wednesday,
When I,
Wednesday, and that's what,
The
Oh,
show,
my
Was that
God.
good?
so good.
I might watch it
It's on my list.
after I finish Game of Thrones, maybe.
That's a long binge.
I mean, I started it like a week and a half ago, I'm almost done with season 6.
see, I used to like rake in like 80 to 90,000 minutes a year because all I would do when after like.
Now set up your question if you have any.
So
Because
minutes I've
if you
spent.
handle something
watching
with
shows.
with the focus, it will
That's
be
what I want.
useless.
Yeah, Netflix.
the color,
So just share what you think or which questions you
Just like
have.
everything.
Then I'll
I bet you I-
adjust what you
I
can.
spent probably like
Okay, so my,
between like a quarter and a fifth of my whole life. Like, I got, and
I mean, not respectfully.
there's no respectful way to say that.
Yeah, you're just a loser.
it's similar system. I mean, because it says that it's cyclic.
I like.
No,
I don't.
What is this?
Taylor,
It's-
I see it.
you have to be gentle.
Okay.
or the, like the.
It's $1 at Target.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if
I'll
that's,
try to address, and first I prepare some materials.
Just want it to be like,
it's for children.
of course, that's why.
And also those like plastic caterpillars, like have you seen those? It's fun.
The San Francisco police is now allowed to use killer robots.
You know what that sounds like? No.
I think, you have 20 seconds to comply. It's in a picture of the ad 220.
That's freaking.
I choose you.
San Francisco police robots.
I don't like that.
Robots that kill.
We don't need more of that.
Imagine
They're already robots that kill.
you,
Yeah, they already do that. They're already programmed. You don't need.
yeah, but now. It's just like it's just like a bug. Oops.
They're not gonna.
Malfunction in the system.
Yeah.
There's no way to blame.
Yes.
Exactly, bro. We're going
That's a
downhill.
bomb disposal robot, that's
Man, yo,
not.
we just beat Iran yesterday in the World Cup. It's called soccer now. Get wrecked.
Supervisors want to actually use robots.
Bro, everyone else in the world.
Did you know that it actually wasn't officially referred to as football until the 1970s?
To answer this question, we should look for the paper for Rabbi,
Soccer was like,
but I'm just a little bit more aware of what I wrote myself. So this figure, right?
we've always
And
had soccer.
this is reproduced, we compute here with the blue and red, so those are population of ground and excited. And if the laser field is not a continuous but a pulse, instead of the sine and cosine, it will be a populated population in ground, then it's almost instantaneously changed to population in the excited. And then they swapped. Like,
I don't
so,
like making that
down,
clarification.
up and
Maybe
down.
football, like American football, should just be
and,
called.
but if one selects parameters correctly, then the amount of the swaps
That's
per
hard.
unit time will stay the same. It just changes the
Skin.
what is programmed in the code that you're running.
Official name. Yeah,
Yeah,
kinda,
yeah, honestly.
roughly.
Rugby.
Rugby is like the more intense version.
Just like.
Yeah.
Florida.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, facts.
Here, but anyway.
I don't know. Rugby rules, so I don't know.
I said that out six.
In rugby, yeah, they're not-
I don't know.
And let me tell you.
Most
Hey, like,
important part of the is the.
they're usually pretty good.
And also, let me
Yeah.
I send you the draft of the paper by high schooler. Did I
She's
declare that I was sending it to you?
for all this.
You would remember it because high schoolers do not write many papers.
She's still emo.
My predictions, USA beats Netherlands, Argentina beats Australia.
I beat
That's
you
what my
up.
boys, America.
I beat you up,
I think France.
Francis. Pope Francis.
Okay, but I love that we're getting, which one? So excited because like they're actually decent this year, but like have never been before.
Like Argentina.
Yeah, like the boys football team, the men's.
The men's soccer team,
Yeah, sorry. Men's soccer team. Oh,
the
soccer.
national team.
The one with like the balloon on their jersey or something like that. Yeah.
National.
No,
team,
national
not
team.
state.
Or the one that went to the
United.
World Cup,
Currently playing for the.
the men's soccer team, national soccer team.
Can I?
Elsa.
Football?
Yeah.
You know how like in the Olympics, we have like an American team? It's like the same thing for the World Cup.
It's funny to me that England every time the cup comes around, right? There's always like. For like the line. The World Cup's like-
They are.
So
Yeah, world, so like
America.
each nation.
Version 48.
the best soccer
Yeah.
people from our country, yeah.
The
to play
Olympics.
In the World Cup.
Soccer.
The Olympics are soccer?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah,
Like that works.
it's even every 4 years too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
We
It's
talked
literally
about-
the Olympics of soccer. Okay, that
Yes.
made sense.
We
That got
talk
it. to
about the
Thanks.
like absolute corruption in FIFA that led to targeting down this country.
They just bid it higher.
No, they didn't. They actually, they
I
bribed.
did, I'm about to send this to you, and this is about one page summary of methods encoded in this code.
Although 16.
You are welcome to
working well.
intellectually steal, like copy paste, but build understanding, because you'll provide
Like when.
original results, but you
We have the guitars.
will,
Like,
there could be errors, but if you are intelligent with copy, you will get.
hotness.
So
The sense.
I want to believe that you are very happy that I wanted this equation. Right? So one can go for predict future by applying time evolution operator. But you saw through the variables that we do with functional corresponds to ground and its three excited states.
I'll come to the group meeting,
For them.
but idea, something that but I have to see, I have to have.
Probability distribution.
Olympics and the women's,
So
like. the
I have to
women's-
at least stay close. The summer.
We are propagating the whole.
I can't just come into the group meeting and be like, all right, guys, like,
I
we gotta do this. I gotta at least act like I'm trying, and be like, okay, here's what I did.
So then you have.
Tell me why it's all wrong, you know?
So they have to make sure that the.
Probabilities of first state, second, and so forth.
Because they need the.
What
people
you
to-
just,
No, they probably wouldn't have to train, but they would just need.
I need to turn to line 2. Think that we edited.
I just love how absolutely.
One up and down. Those are three excited states, first excited, second excited, third excited, and ground. Those are here, this summation is here. So it's like. Okay.
No, but one of them is Fortnite Battle Plus.
Should I return to matter?
What are you gonna call it? Bus?
I kinda wanna name,
That's still too long.
wouldn't it be cool to have, okay.
Took me like 2
you
minutes
know,
to
like,
treat
what
people as
Family
not
Guy?
Yeah.
Xavier.
Alright, you know how
And it
Meg's
took me like 2 minutes to
name
feel
is
safe.
actually
It's like, just kept
Megatron?
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of dope to have a, I don't know, either a
I would-
child or a pet named Megatron.
Megatron?
Megatron?
This is the most complicated equation. You
Found
maybe
that my list,
if you
actually.
try to read and
Yeah, 'cause
understand
if
it
it's a girl,
yourself.
then
and
Yeah, then they can just
you-
go by Meg, like in the
the
show,
discussion.
but
You
if it's a
shouldn't wait
boy,
until next Wednesday.
but your name.
Please try to understand and send me all the discussion.
Get out of there. That's
Before we can start.
Hey, what's your name?
So this is the hardest equation.
But
Those are just more potentials on the index, they're different from each.
like, it's like, all right, so what's your name? Your next name. Hold on.
Like, are
You're
you like a bouncer?
No, but that.
reflected
You
in the paper because they,
think that you're
the
like.
paper doesn't have ribocycles.
Yeah.
You do have.
Yeah.
So.
Professor Megatron. Ron. Oh.
Well, no, I'm not going home.
And
I'm
now-
going to my door.
Yeah, I made some pretty killer chicken wings.
They smell good.
So I will make a last call for brief questions and then continue with Melody. So everyone is happy? You know what to do?
I don't have a brief question, but can I come in sometime and like ask you non-brief questions? Like I'm running into some problems.
Yes.
Okay.
I do not I do not stay like on a watch in the office.
Okay.
You will not find me if you randomly come.
But you can always go to.
Seems like you're there pretty often.
Get help from the script.
So,
That's correct, but send me an email at least sometimes ahead and set up a time. If I'm not planning, if I'm hiding from you guys at home or in the cafeteria, we can set a Zoom meeting.
okay,
Okay?
I don't know, you guys are good.
I'll send you an
But
email.
yep. I promise to read it and try my best to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, good night.
Oh.
Got her my orange anyway. Well, I can bring her back. Ava offered if you're okay if I leave you here. Bye. Running into the table. That's a pointy one, stop being right in the hand. Ooh. To pack up all my random things. Yeah, right. It's funny. Sorry, this computer is ordered. Any of them in Florida? Did anyone check that? I love that. I don't know what it means.
From 500 to 510, but I'll try to identify more important.
Mechanics. What's that? So electrical. Well, yeah, I don't know what that means, but I like it. Find a secret pocket. Usually my chapstick's in here. Oh, gotta put one there now. To prepare for the tundra. outside.
Right. I don't know what's going on. This has been warm enough, but if it gets any windier or colder, it's not gonna be warm enough, so.
Yes.
I don't like that. Well, man.
So this from 697 to 700 is the or right. So we are meeting on Friday, right? Yes.
Friday? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we'll be there.
We'll be there anyway.
Thank.
Bye.
The regular order of this, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, before I was just scrolling through myself. So the regular order to record the wave function is for the ground state. You do have upside down. For the first excited, you have psi up. For a second, you have psi up 1, psi up 3. So maybe it's not the best notations, but maybe I don't know. Of course, I can modify it. So regularly, it is you have just to coincide with the code down, up 1, up 2, A, B, and I have a permanent fear. Save as to lose anything to make any changes. Let's now at time of FY pulse, the content of the up and down, up and down distributions is swapped. Now I'm going to copy paste it once again. So red, blue, blue, red. So this is your like the core of what you're doing. So instantaneous short pulse promotes what was down. Like if all other were empty, it just promotes ground to excited. But if they both were non-zero, they swap. What was ground is promoted to excited. What was in the excited promoted down. And then each time, like after a certain time, it repeats, right? And we can control how often it repeats, or we can.
So this is what we're trying to prove by running the experiment.
Yes, yes. I think the most correct way would be to keep the duration of the whole simulation the same. So like agree that time one will be like 1000 or 500, and then re-implement this distribution by modifying these values. Like one can get it either by 5 cycles, 100 steps each, or 1 cycle, 500 steps, or 100 cycles, 5 steps each, and see how, like, because for pure experiment one needs something constant. If you modify only one, then someone can tell you just expose it to laser for different duration, and then it tells here, it tells the difference. But if you have the same duration and modify intensity, then we see how laser intensity modifies the photochemical reaction. I need to send you an update of this paper written by high school. Oh, I can add, it hasn't been sent yet, so I can add the latest version.
Did you save the changes?
I hope so, but it is not there. Let's file, save as. Oh, I need to save it in the right directory. It was in the downloads, yes. And sent immediately before I forget. Okay. So right now, if I have no demands, but if you have memorized and accepted everything we discussed, you are ready to go and complete necessary minimum. Right now, it's like time is up, but I can briefly like guide you through next levels, which you can skip or do depending on if you want to add it as a component to your research, or you want to skip if you're already tired of me in the course, but just showing you the options.
Parameterization. I don't have anything else to do tonight, so.
Maybe I will show it not in a spectacular way. I will just show you need to imagine the missing points, but then if you are really interested, I can invest time and do it, and we will like cooperate, and it can be a chapter in your project if you want. So this data provided by the fund do show like I can believe only the lower line and this 3 points. So lower line is let me look on the yes. So lower line is a portion from 0.4 to about 0.8, not for methyl iodide, but for your TPOL molecule. So it shows how much energy is taken to induce dissociation of this molecule if you stay in the ground state. When we are jumping from the equivalent ground state to either one of two excited states, you have these points, this triangle, and this triangle. So they are already computed. Based on, it's not enough data, but there are ongoing additional data that would allow to reproduce each of these curves. And then based on initial data, one can reproduce more precise values of each of these potential lines, and it will be actually a profile of your TPO molecule for 3D printers, because this one is something different. You just do proof of concepts. So the processing of the data for it would result, if done correctly, in the updated values of like these three parameters for each of the potential energy curve. If Dr. Han and myself have success in doing this, if we will be able to reproduce parameters with here, you just send you the figure and you feed it into Morse potential and re-parameterize these lines of the code. And then it will be more ready to go for competitive publication. If no, you still will do a wonderful term project and consider it for the future or completely neglect it. Okay.
Okay.
So you'll keep making efforts and hoping that if data are available, you will double your efforts and redo everything with new data. But at least you do have a pathway to process your case and do something sufficient to come through the course.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Now
it's a
you
logistical question.
mhm.
For the figures, would it be sufficient to take like a screenshot of the movie when it's in the ground state and in the excited state for each different experiment that I try?
You demand a micromanagement from me. You are sufficiently grown to make the decisions yourself.
Okay.
I can share opinion, but it's not necessarily correct, not necessarily better than the one you develop yourself. So
Okay.
the recommended thing is what Eva is doing. So any time you run the code, right after it is completed, you go into the directory where it was run, and most recent .avi file goes into your YouTube repository. It's the best way of organizing things, because like I'm losing track of anything on my computer, and on YouTube is much less things, and I still understand what is going on.
Okay.
And then there is a way to download back from YouTube and put it into PowerPoint if needed. And then you have the whole thing recorded, like first, last, and all intermediates. If you decide that you want to show it in the paper, you can just scroll through your YouTube video and make screenshots, not from this one, which will be erased as soon as you close the computer, but from YouTube, which will stay as long as this company is healthy.
Okay.
Okay. The since we can take an absolute example that we can, yeah, he is showing only a couple of minutes. You outperform him in each minute. Okay, more questions? Or we are good to announce the adjourn?
I do not have any more questions.
Okay, but please develop. I will look through emails and try my best to answer in time. Okay.
Everything that you said.
So you've got all materials and you should be ready.
Okay.
Just one last question, so.
Last question for today, I hope. You do or you do not? Do you run the same version of the code or different version of the code? Wait, bring, let's take a seat. So freeze, not for you, but here. So that what I was asking not to hectically. What is the similarities and differences in these two figures? How many, what's the labeling of X and Y axis? The Y axis is the same, what is on the X axis? So it's like 20,000 and here is 200. So if you wait for 20,000, you likely will see these things. And you may count how long would it take on your computer. Typically, it's maybe relatively recent, but it takes a couple of hours. So before going to sleep, I set it to run, and then it is done in about 2 hours. So I wake in the middle of the night, send the video into YouTube, run it another time, and then go to. But sitting and waiting, even on a modern computer, it's wrong idea. So just set it up and then do something different.
Meeting is done?
Yep.
Yes. Let's refocus on the class. Yes. So, yes. Okay. Excellent.
Bigger for everyone who's not here.
Whew. And meeting